Oh my gosh, what are we doing? I don't know. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm here to do another episode covering Survivor Season 40, Winners at War. I want to talk about the third episode that took place last night. So when this drops, it will probably be Friday when you're hearing this. Um, So today I'll be doing a quick update on our Survivor draft, give a few of my top highlights from this week's episode, and then I'll share my thoughts on what I think is going to come next week in Survivor. So first things first, let's talk about Megan's team. Megan is beating my team in our draft. Her team, anything you can do, I can do better, earned a point this week after Adam scored the most number of confessionals. So she is up to 2 points. And my team, which I called My Wife is Right, I'm still stuck at minus 1 point. So hooray for Megan's team. Yay. So, uh, Megan's team's doing well, although she lost another player this week. So we both each have two players off of our team on Edge of Extinction, but she has a 3 point lead after 3 weeks. Now, I want to get into some highlights from the show, but first, I want to talk to you about whinyparent.com. Whiny Parent is the parenting blog my wife and I created to share our parenting adventures and struggles. We try to share our experiences as parents, talking about difficult issues at times, while also trying to provide a lighthearted side, especially whenever there's a chance to make fun of me. Megan and I share date night ideas, parenting tips, product recommendations, and even the occasional cocktail recipe, which you can find our episodes with our recipes over on YouTube. So please head over to whinyparent.com and follow our blog. You'll receive an update whenever we share something new. Plus, you can follow all of our social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. If you're searching on social media, that's at whinyparent, WINEY parent. Okay, so please let's let's try to talk about this crazy episode. Episode 3, Survivor Winners of War. And I say please, and I say crazy because it baffles me the things that happen in this episode. I know it's kind of Adam's game, but I've never quite understood the strategic truths, as he put it. Okay, so let's get into it. Last week, I had talked about seeing Jeremy and Michelle deciding this week's vote, but I would have to say I thought because Adam and Ben didn't seem to be getting along for whatever reason, or Adam didn't trust Ben, I thought that that would be kind of what was going to be happening in this week's episode. And I thought Adam would be the one in trouble, but he was in trouble for a completely different reason. And I think seeing Adam's thought process play out, um, it worked in his season, but it just fell apart in this week's episode. Um, so overall, I want to talk about seeing Michelle and Jeremy kind of working their magic tonight. I didn't love seeing Ethan go home because I thought Adam's plan, similar to Millennials versus Gen X, to talk honestly with everyone would be. I thought that would be reason enough to send him home. Um, it's obvious that Michelle and Jeremy feel that breaking up a trio is much more important for their future. But according to next week's episode, Michelle is there talking about how they can't trust Adam. So it's a little, you know, difficult to see what's going to happen moving forward. But for this episode, I thought it was good to see Michelle and Jeremy kind of look like they were taking control of the tribe. Um, so, and as a fan of Jeremy, and I think it was good just to see most players getting some time on air. And I think Michelle, for the most time, hasn't had much. So it was good to see that kind of play out. So it was good to see Jeremy in a good position tonight. Apparently, him and Michelle, new partners in crime. Um, so I know I'm couch coaching right now. So I'm probably the last one anyone should take their word on, but I have to feel that Adam, who was basically kind of double dipping, like how can you necessarily trust his moves later? So for me, it was hard to see why would you. I know you to talk about weakening Rob. Well, the easiest way to weaken Rob would to be vote him out. Uh, but for whatever reason, it's probably I guess long term situation where they want to use him as a shield later down the road. In last week, or in this week's tribal, Jeremy talked about how the vote last week unified the team, voting out Danny. So I guess my thought was, wouldn't voting out Adam have done the same thing? Um, and I know Denise is in an alliance with Adam, but she voted not with Adam. So who knows? And that's my second point I want to highlight is Denise's game. Was she speaking up for Adam and keeping him? Was she the deciding, helping decide, okay, let's go with Ethan and I want to have Adam in the game because we're in an alliance together? So that could be something because we're not seeing too much from Denise where it's like, okay, she's driving the strategic game. It's all about, okay, what are we doing? What's the game plan? She seems ready to roll with the punches, so to speak. And she seems to be really in a spot where no one is looking her way to vote her out. Probably someone out there right now is knocking on wood right now. So sure, I'll try to do the same thing. She's on a tribe that again is going to almost every tribal council. Uh, I know we're only on our third episode, but she's been to 3 out of 4 tribals already. Um, but that being said, she's still here. That makes me believe that there's this inherent level of trust that people must have with her. Um, it's like they want to keep her around because they trust her. And it's almost as much as they want to keep Boston Rob around because he's a perfect shield. Uh, Another thing that's great for Denise is that she has the idol, which was confirmed in episode 3 that Adam did return the other half of the idol to her. So she now has the idol together. So unless something dramatic happens, I would think that Denise has an idol going into the merge. And definitely a smart move by Adam, giving the half piece of the idol back. I feel like if he doesn't give it back to her, I think that automatically would make Denise question whether or not she can trust Adam at all. So I think he basically kind of holding up his end of the bargain with the relationship they have. So I feel like Denise is in a good spot. Lastly, I want to talk about Boston Rob and his longevity in Survivor season 40 and whether or not it's his ability to connect with people or what. I mean, Adam thought that they were in a good enough spot to go to Boston Rob and tell him that Parvati was the plan. Is that Rob's ability to make bonds that quickly? Is it an error on Adam's part? Or is it a little bit of both? Like I would have to say I don't like telling someone their alliance member is the target. I understand Adam won his season doing that, but does feel like he dodged a bullet when he didn't necessarily have to. I mean, throughout all of this, Boston Rob is still here. I think it's pretty incredible. He hasn't been sent packing yet. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's likely that Jeremy and Michelle want Boston Rob at the merge to be an easy target, taking the heat off of them. Maybe it's that simple. I guess my thought would be the biggest thing with this season is that there's a whole other tribe with big targets, with many of them that will be there at the merge, or at least that's the way it seems. So, if that's the case, will it then turn into a gigantic power alliance that takes out newer group of winners who haven't had as long to build a type of legendary status in the game? So, I guess the ultimate question is, do you just go ahead and take Boston Rob out now because he is one of the threats, and the longer he stays in, the more likely it is that he might stay in longer? Or do you just, you know, say, oh, we're just going to see what happens, you know, use it as a vote or use it as a shield, however it might work out? I don't know. So it's interesting to see that Boston Rob is having this kind of effect to where he's still in 4 episodes. I thought he probably would have gone episodes one or two. Um, I think so far the season's been great. Uh, there was a lot of time on Edge of Extinction next week, and Sarah had an adventure to the other tribe's beach, and that was an extended period of time. Uh, that was okay. I will say I find it very interesting that Sarah is willing to bring Tony on this plan, that she's going to Saleh's tribe to find an advantage. I mean, talk about building trust again with someone. I think that's a huge indicator that the two of them are working together in such a way that makes it feel like they have a pretty tight bond. I mean, otherwise, why wouldn't Sarah just go alone? Uh, for next week, how does Saleh not go back to tribal council? I think they would be the tribe going back. And I would have to guess that Michelle saying she doesn't trust Adam in the preview is probably a smokescreen and that Parvati gets sent home. I imagine that Jeremy and Michelle might try to bring Adam back in by going after Parvati. So I'll say that Parvati goes home next week because I think she would have been going home in this week's episode if Adam hadn't told Boston Rob the plan. So those are my thoughts on this episode and what I think is going to happen next week. Um, Incredible that Boston Rob's still in the game. I think Denise is playing on point. Like she's where she needs to be, and I feel like she can position herself in a way that she'll be in the game for a while. And seeing Jeremy and Michelle work together was great. So I, that's it for this week. I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope everyone is enjoying my coverage of Survivor Season 40, and hopefully you'll come back again after next week's episode. Until next time, I'll see everyone later. Bye.